All right, let's talk about PMOs, Project Management Offices. For a lot of people, just hearing that acronym brings up images of, bureaucracy, endless templates, and just a whole lot of red tape. But what if that's all a huge misunderstanding? Today, we're going to break down the critical mindset shift that can transform a PMO from being a frustrating bottleneck into an absolutely indispensable partner for the business.
So let's just get right to it. I want you to ask yourself a really honest question. Whether you're running a PMO, you're working with one, or maybe you're just studying for a certification, is the PMO in your world a roadblock that just slows everything down? Or is it a vital resource that actually helps you get things done and succeed? The answer to that question reveals pretty much everything about its underlying philosophy. And this really breaks it down, doesn't it? You've got these two completely different worlds. On one side, you have the PMO as the police. I mean, look at those words: enforce, mandate, control. It's all about command and authority. But on the other side, you've got the PMO as a partner. The language here is totally different. Engage, tailor, influence. It's about collaboration, not coercion. And this is the central conflict we're here to figure out. So, that brings us right to the heart of the matter: the PMO's credibility problem. The reason so many PMOs get such a bad rap isn't really because they're asking for status reports or because they provide templates. No, the root cause is much, much deeper than that. See, the problem isn't that there are rules. It's that there's a fundamental mindset mismatch. It's the huge difference between a PMO that sees its job as protecting its own standards versus one that exists purely to deliver value, and value as seen by its customers, the project teams and the business leaders.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, we do it by adopting a value-driven mindset. This is the absolute core of the PMI philosophy for any modern PMO. And listen, this isn't just some small adjustment. It is a complete and total change in perception.
This right here, this is the key definition you need to burn into your brain. A modern PMO is a value-driven service provider. And pay close attention to that last part. Value is defined by customer perception. It's not defined by how many reports the PMO turns out or how slick its internal processes are. If the customer, the team, the stakeholder doesn't see the value, then from the perspective of the Project Management Institute, or PMI, it literally doesn't exist. And you can actually hear the difference in the language. The words here are all about partnership, right? Engage, collaborate, reassess, tailor, improve, influence. It works from the assumption that the PMO probably doesn't have any formal authority, so it has to earn its credibility by being a genuinely helpful and adaptive partner. Now let's flip that on its head and look at the language from the old control-focused world. The words here are just heavy: enforce, mandate, escalate. And that last one is the real tell: protect PMO's standards. A value-driven PMO never just protects its standards for the sake of it. It adapts its services to help the organization win. The standards are there to serve the value, not the other way around. Okay, so we get the mindset. That's the what. But what about the how? How does all this value-driven thinking actually change what you do day to day? Well, this next part is the golden rule that separates just talking about it from actually doing it. This is so important. Whether you're in a high-pressure meeting at work or you're staring down a tricky exam question, you have to remember this. Jumping straight to a solution, like piloting a new tool or redesigning a process, is almost always the wrong first move. The Project Management Institute prioritizes making sense of the situation and analyzing it before you ever think about implementing something. And this sequence is absolutely critical. Before you do anything, Step 1, you clarify the desired outcomes and figure out what value even means to the stakeholders. Step 2, you go out and deeply understand those stakeholders and what they actually need. Step 3, you analyze the root cause of whatever the problem is. And only then, after all that, do you even start to think about implementing a solution. Understanding always comes before acting, period.
All right, so we've covered what to do. Now for the fun part: what not to do. Let's talk about the red flags, the answer choices, and the actions that just scream outdated thinking. If you can spot these, you'll save yourself a world of trouble.
This table is pure gold. It's basically your cheat sheet for spotting bad answers. Let's run through them. You see an answer that says to enforce or mandate? It's wrong. PMI assumes a PMO works through influence, not by dropping the hammer. What about escalate immediately? Nope. That's a failure to engage and should always be a last resort. Do nothing? Come on, that's passive. That's not leadership. And my personal favorite trap: just document the issue. Documenting is a task, but it delivers zero value all by itself. It's the ultimate non-action. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here. The mindset, the right words to use, the traps to avoid. But what if you could boil it all down to just one single sentence? Let's distill all of this into the ultimate survival rule that you can use anytime you feel stuck. Just picture it. You're in a really tough situation. Stakeholders are complaining, your execs are skeptical, and it feels like there are 5 different right answers. What is the one guiding principle that will cut through all of that noise and almost always point you in the right direction? Here it is. This is the golden rule. When in doubt, choose the answer that engages stakeholders to realign value before changing structures, services, or controls. This one sentence has the entire philosophy baked right into it. Engage first. Agree on what value actually means. Then, and only then, do you start thinking about changing stuff. And that really brings us to our final thought, because this stuff is only useful if you can actually apply it. So think for a second about a real challenge you're facing at work right now, some point of friction, a problem you're trying to solve. Before you jump to proposing a new process or a new tool or a new rule, how could you apply this engage before implement mindset to truly understand the value that's at stake first?